Hi, my name is Joey Jackson and I welcome you to COBA School. What we're doing is putting together a series of videos in order to protect our members, our clients, and that's you, correction officers who are working day and night in these facilities and are being unduly disciplined. I want to talk today about the use of force. Now, this video is overwhelmingly important and I don't want to oversell it, but I need everyone to listen clearly and closely because when you get suspended, that affects your days. It affects your abilities to support your families, to pay your rent, to pay tuition, to pay car notes, to pay so many other things. And if it could be avoided, you know what they say, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So as far as the use of force goes, I want to break it down as follows. The first thing I want to talk to you about are the three pillars upon which we can defend everything you do. And I want to keep you mindful of these three things. What are they? Number one, use force where there's an immediate threat that's posed to you. If you're using force where there's an immediate threat posed to you, we can defend that. Number two, the force that you use should be proportionate to the threat that's posed to you. And you know what I mean. You don't want to overdo it, but you want to meet force with force, which leads to number three, which is I want you to act reasonably. If you follow those three tenets, there's an immediate fear that you have of danger. Number two, that your response is proportionate. And number three, that you act reasonably. By all means, we'll be able to defend you in those circumstances. The other thing you have to know is that you always want to the extent that you can, use the minimum amount of force that you need to in order to get the situation under control. And in doing that, understand that use interpersonal communication if you can. Everybody talks about IPC, and you know it looks a lot different in the book than it does when you're dealing with people who are unreasonable. But if you can use minimum force and you could use interpersonal communication skills until you can't, I think that's very helpful as well. Moving along, there are areas when you use force that you want to avoid on an inmate's body. Like what? Avoid the head, avoid the face, avoid the neck by any means in terms of neck restraints or anything else. Avoid the kidneys, avoid the spine. You avoid those areas, we got you and you're otherwise good to go, okay? Always easier said than done, I get it. But to the extent that you can, do so. But there's an exception to that, and that is in the event that you fear that your life or anything else is at risk, all of these things go out of the window. Protect yourself so that you can go home to your family. Now, understand that you can also use force until the threat has subsided. That is, there's no longer a threat. Once the threat is over and you bring the inmate under control, then everything else ceases, okay? And the other thing to keep in mind is that there are prohibited uses of force. And what do I mean by that, right? We know use of force in general, if it's not justified, is prohibited. But you never ever want to be in a situation where you use force to punish an inmate, where you use force to retaliate against an inmate, where you're using force in order to provoke the inmate. You get it. So at the end of the day, as long as you act reasonably and responsibly, we got your back. We'll have your back regardless, but there are certain things that are easier to defend. And if you defend your interest in the way that I noted, by being careful with respect to what you do, then by all means, when you're disciplined and you're called down to oath, we got this. Be careful, stay safe, continue to do the great jobs you do under very difficult circumstances, and only use force if it's reasonably necessary to protect yourself and your brother and sister officers. God bless you.